Hi, I'm Crystal and this is Archivist Hollow. In today's video, I'm restoring a well-loved cookbook and showing you how we preserve family recipes for the future. The client reached out and told me she had a family heirloom, and it was a cookbook that her mother and her grandmother had been writing in. Her mother still uses this cookbook all the time, so she wanted to be a little bit sneaky and get it repaired for her. So we talked it out, and she wanted the spine fixed, she wanted the pages put back in, and she wanted to make sure that it looked as original as possible. I started out by putting all of the pages in order and then got to work on redoing these heavily ripped pages. I am using Linco archival tape, which is reversible and archival safe. It's almost like a thin paper with adhesive on one side. You can also use Japanese paper and wheat paste, but this was a cleaner, quicker method that I choose to use. Once you buffer the edges out with a bone folder on the page, you can barely see it, and it gives the paper a bit more stability, just like the Japanese paper would. The next thing I did was mix up some methyl cellulose and PVA glue, which extends the drying time on the glue and also gives you a more reversible adhesive. PVA is really quick drying, and I just like using a 3-to-1 ratio of it just to give me a little longer working time. Plus, I know that if I mess up, I can take it back off. This section of the book actually had a small line missing from the page, so I had to rebuild it with the archival tape before I could completely glue it back into place. Next, I needed to create a new cover, so I got on my iPad and recreated the cover to the book using Procreate. More reinforcing with the archival tape before adding it to the text block, and then you can see that we didn't have a title page, so I had a few copies of this book and I removed the title page from one before attaching it to the existing text block. Next, I am reattaching all of the individual pages to the smaller side of the text block before reattaching both of those big sides, because it will give me an easier access to the spine. Next, I'm going to take off the rest of the original spine and then put the book into a book press, where I have easier time putting methyl cellulose onto the spine. I'm just trying to loosen up the old glue and the paper that might have gotten stuck to it. I left the methyl cellulose on for about 5 minutes, and then I promptly forgot to record myself taking it off. Finally, I am matching up the sides to make sure that everything matches, and then I put a little bit of glue on the inside, set it down for a few minutes to adhere a little bit before putting it into the book press, and then I added even more glue and some mull to give it a little bit more structure. Here I have gotten both of the sides put together, and I just wanted to show it off to the camera because I was very proud of this. It was at this point that I started to realize that the index in the back, I was going to replace the missing pages, but the book where I took the title page from has slightly different font in it, so they are different editions. However, the pages, I didn't know if they matched up, and I did not take a moment to double check the index, and I didn't want to add anything that wasn't going to be accurate. So the cover finally came in, there was a shipping delay, but it turned out perfect. The color was perfect, the actual print itself was on the correct type of paper, and the sizing was correct, and I was very happy with it. However, I forgot one very important detail, and that is I put it backwards. Unfortunately for me, I had not realized it until this exact moment when I started to see how the fit was going to work, and I will admit I muted this video because there was a lot of me grumbling because I couldn't believe I forgot to invert the actual picture. So I had a few different ideas about how to fix this. The first was I could just cut the pieces apart and put them in the correct order using mull, PVA, methyl cellulose mixture, and a um, Japanese paper type mix. I wanted to make sure the hinges were not going to fall apart very easy because I did take them apart, and that was my biggest concern with this one. I actually ended up very impressed with how well it was holding together. So the mix of Japanese paper and mull and PVA glue made a sturdy enough cover that it actually worked out pretty well. And eventually, this is what the client actually decided to go with, and I'm glad I recorded this. I didn't actually record me putting the other mock-ups together, but I did get pictures of them, mainly because the other mock-ups were pretty much the same process, except the spine was a bit different. Looking back, I realized this is not actually the cover that ended up on the book itself. This is one of the mock covers that I wanted to remake because I liked the style of it at the end, but I wanted to make sure that nothing was going to fall apart. So I ended up going back and using one of those spare covers to remake this and use archival tape to put it together first, and made sure that everything was going to be as tight and durable as possible because hinges were my biggest concern on this. This is the mock-up that we decided to go with. I'm just holding it together at this point. And then here is the second mock-up. It has the faux leather spine. It would have given it more flexibility, but it took away from the aesthetic of the book, and I'm really, really happy we went with the original look. So here's the before picture, and here's the after picture. I am absolutely in awe of this book and how much history it holds, and I'm happy I was able to do this job. I really hope the client loves it and that her mother loves it as well. I actually hope she finds the book because she mentioned that she wanted to hide it and wait for her mom to find it naturally. I would be very hard pressed to find this book on the shelf. But this is the whole reason I love doing this job, is now this book gets to stay with the family for more generations to come and help share the history, and that's why I do my job.